Welcome to Inside the Line, Real Stories by Real Cops. I'm Dave Rattigan. That's Dale Lawrence across from me, and to the side, Nathan Arroyo along. How are you, Nathan?
I'm good. How are you, Dave?
I'm really well.
I'm doing good too, Dave, but go ahead.
Fuck you, Dale.
You two are already at it. I'm late today. That's shocking. So we're going to get right to this. Do you know who I am? Is the name of this podcast. Do you know who I am? The personification of privilege and entitlement. And here I am sitting next to two of the most entitled.
Oh, we grew up hard, Dave. We grew up hard.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you this. I got to figure entitlement's got to be part of the human condition, because I don't think it's just the United States, but maybe
Everyone believes that they're more important than they actually are. That they're not expendable. We're all expendable, Dave.
We're all expendable.
Yeah. We're like a condom. When you're done with it, just throw it in the trash.
What's a condom?
I don't know.
All right.
Ask Nathan.
So we've got Dale went out, he fished out a couple of clips for us.
Actually.
Of people who had interactions with police and felt that perhaps their word, they were more important than they were. Is that a good way to put it?
Let's get the first one out of the way first. It's probably, for me personally, it's probably the most embarrassing one, if that gives you a hint on what it might be about.
All right.
It's called Speed Racer.
On June 12th, 2022, a Monroe County deputy was conducting traffic enforcement in Key Largo, Florida. The deputy observed a white Chrysler traveling 108 miles per hour in the posted 45-mile-per-hour zone.
Turn the fucking car! Get out of the fucking car! Hands up in the air!
Hands up in the air right now.
Walk right here. Shut the fuck up. Get right over here. I don't give a fuck who you are. Get on your goddamn knees.
Hey, I'm a cop.
And you'll listen to me when I tell you to get on your fucking knees.
I'm a cop, bro.
You used to work for Miami-Dade.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. A drunk cop going 108 miles an hour in the middle of Florida on a long stretch of highway.
They invite you. They invite you to speed down there. They've got nice straight roads, and they invite you to speed. It's
no street lights. There's alligators crossing the highway.
Yeah, speed
illegal immigrants crossing the highway. It's a free-for-all, Dave.
The illegal immigrants are crossing into Florida. Is that what you're saying?
So his name was Donovan Rojas, and he worked for Dade County. I don't believe as a matter, this happened like 3 weeks ago.
He said he was a cop.
Yeah, he is a cop. He was a cop. He's suspended now. Is he going to get fired? I don't know. He was just drunk driving and speeding, Dave.
Right.
He didn't shoot anyone or sexually assault anyone or steal any money.
He led him on a chase. Chases are dangerous. He led the cops in the chase, and as you know, when you lead cops in a chase, cops get jacked up.
Did you see how jacked up they were?
Yeah.
That's the worst time after a chase, when the cops come out of the car and they're all jacked up on adrenaline. They don't know why the guy's speeding. Yeah. Their head's spinning, so they get out of the car and they used vulgar language. Nathan was horrified by the language. I looked to my left and he was horrified.
Yeah, he was horrified. Nathan, you okay?
No, I've heard cops speak like that when I steal a Snickers bar.
Yeah, you do?
I've had a 12-gauge pressed against my cheek for stealing fucking Pop Rock candy.
That seems reasonable. Well,
Put my fucking hands down to the fucking floor.
Listen, here's what I know. I know that you were probably a very difficult 7-year-old. Yeah. And those cops probably weren't equipped to handle that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so he's suspended right now. But, kind of the interesting thing about that is Monroe County, Florida.
Why are you embarrassed by this, by the way?
Well, it makes cops look bad.
Which part is this? Because cops get busted by other cops all the time.
They look bad. This whole scenario looks bad.
Right. I mean, but it always looks bad when a cop, because here's the thing. Departments don't necessarily, stateies in Massachusetts don't let local cops off. Local cops don't let stateies off. Maybe they do if they're more reasonable, but this is more common. This is not completely unprecedented.
Cops don't like to be shown up. They have very fragile egos sometimes.
No, I don't believe it.
And when you put them in a situation like that, sometimes their worst comes out, because those cops, I don't think those cops that we heard on the audio clip were that bad. When you're jacked up, you say stuff like that.
It's words. It's words.
But the thing about it, like I was about to say, that Monroe County had 3 officers or 3 sheriffs about 10 years ago die within a 2 or 3 year span. And the sheriff down there changed the pursuit policy to, I'm not sure what he changed it to, but they lessened the reasons why they would pursue you. And I would figure that speeding would be a reason why you wouldn't pursue. So I'm not sure what these two guys were doing even chasing that car.
I think once you commit to a chase, maybe I'm wrong, but I think when you're a cop and you commit to the chase, your adrenaline starts to jack up.
And you can't even take your foot off the gas, brother.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that true?
I think so. I think you just kind of not black out, but you kind of get into a zone and you focus what's in front of you. And regardless of what the policy may be, regardless that 3 or 4 of your brother officers were killed in high speed pursuits 10 years prior to that, that doesn't even come into play. You're just focused in that moment in time.
Have any of these cops even been taught the story of the tortoise and the hare?
Oh, what is it?
You don't of course you don't fucking know.
You not know the tortoise and the hare.
Tortoise and the hare. The hare is very fast. The tortoise is very slow. One day they agree to a race, and the hare just peels off, going real fast. But the tortoise takes his time. And the hare thinks he's hot shit because he's real fast. So he's zooming real fast through this race. The tortoise is taking his sweet goddamn time and wins because of it. You didn't hear that story?
Oh, I did hear that. You're right.
You know about Hansel and Gretel?
I'll tell you the whole problem with that whole story. I was looking at Dale's face, and here's the thing: when you said hare, you should have said bunny rabbit.
Oh,
you should have said it was the tortoise and the bunny rabbit because he was thinking of a toupee. All right, what do we get for the next one?
Oh, the next one.
By the way, have you ever pulled over a cop, or did you ever?
I'm trying to think. I've been pulled over a couple of times up in New Hampshire.
I was going to say because New Hampshire is another place where
and in Pennsylvania, but they were fine. They were fine. There was no problem. I don't recall ever pulling over a cop.
But you weren't drunk.
No, I was with the family.
That's the thing
the
too.
Minivan.
I think that's the
Everything
other thing.
was good.
My sense is a lot of times when you get pulled over, if you're drunk, that's where you're out. That's where you're in trouble.
That's tough to deal with
Now, if you're
drunk
just
driving.
speeding with a minivan, I mean, a lot of what they stop for there is to kind of get rid of the drunk, is to check if you're drunk. That's
Yes,
what I've
absolutely.
been told.
I was treated nice.
And you weren't belligerent. Let me ask you this question: how long did it take for you to tell them you were a cop?
Probably in a couple of minutes. I think they saw I had a Massachusetts Police Union sticker on the side of my car on the window, and they saw that.
Is that why?
Well, they probably recognized it.
Did you put that sticker on your car?
For a purpose? Absolutely, it's there for a purpose.
Yeah.
It's still there on all my cars.
Yeah. Okay. Just figured. I mean, that's the
Little
thing.
courtesy, just a little courtesy. That's all I'm looking for.
All right.
This next one's right up your alley, seeing as though you're a sports fan.
Okay. Excellent.
This is who's your boyfriend?
Right.
Who's your boyfriend?
Where are you coming from?
I'm coming from Masters.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't have any headlights on. That's why I stopped
Headlights?
you. Yeah, your headlights aren't on at all.
What do you mean?
On Frank 36.
I'm so sorry.
How much do we have to drink at Mastro's?
Just 2 things of wine.
Just 2 things of wine?
Yeah.
Regular size glasses?
Regular size.
What I'm going to have you do is take a big deep breath, wrap your lips around here, and then
Yep.
exhale for me, okay?
This is going to be bad for me.
Right.
Do you know who my boyfriend is?
Who's your boyfriend?
Aaron Judge.
Let me ask. Let's ask Nathan. Nathan, do you know who Aaron Judge is?
No.
Oh, okay. He's a professional athlete, plays for the New York Yankees.
Great
He's a
player.
slugger, baseball player.
Great player.
What's your point?
I don't know. She thought she was going to get off because she threw that name around. That was in Arizona during spring training.
I don't blame
some time ago.
I don't blame her. If I was that drunk, I would have thrown that out there.
Oh, absolutely.
You never know. It's like, my boyfriend. She was so cute when she did it.
Yeah, her
too.
name is Samantha Brack something. We'll just call her Sam.
Okay,
He married.
Sam.
He actually married her about a year ago, and this was about a year and a half ago that this actually happened.
4 other charges. Extreme DUI. That sounds like that's extreme DUI.
Based on the alcohol content in
that
their
would
blood.
be an excellent show.
Absolutely.
Cops,
Extreme
extreme DUI. Just do nothing but a show from Arizona and
I
Florida.
think you missed the biggest part of this whole audio that I had.
What?
Wrap your lips around this. What was he talking about? What do you think he was talking about when he told? Did you hear what he said? Wrap your lips
heard it.
around this?
You're a pervert.
What was it?
You're a pervert.
What was it,
a
Nathan?
Breathalyzer.
The breathalyzer.
Oh, okay. Because, I mean, that would have worked for me.
Because
no
as
breathalyzer.
as we all know, the police are moral beacons who would never use their positions of powers
Just elicit sex from a drunk female.
or to abuse anyone below them. They would never do it.
And if she had done that, or if he had done that, would have let her go.
I think this one was probably handled relatively well. The cops didn't cut her a break because she was intoxicated. So that's a tough one to cut someone a break when they're drunk.
It is a tough one.
And then the courts, she pled guilty to some of those charges. And she did, they had like 10 days in jail, suspended 9 of them, and then one day in jail, but they counted the night that she was in lockup. So she got off pretty well, you know. I thought she was fine.
I mean, if somebody's that drunk, it's tough to let them off. Here's what I found. 4 other charges. Why would there be 4 other charges? I mean, they got her for drunk driving. They got her extreme drunk driving. That's enough.
Yeah,
she was nice. She was nice to the. She was
probably reckless driving, like a lane violation or something to that extent. Every state has different laws that aren't always the same, but usually you have to cross the center line. Failure to stop. She might have went through a stop sign. Yep. Maybe she didn't put her blinker on. She didn't have her lights on. They just kind of, sometimes cops will just pack on the charges. They'll pack them on.
I know. Usually they pack it on when you're being belligerent, but she wasn't being belligerent.
Fine.
She was just being.
Me personally, that could have gone either way. I might have gave her a ride home.
Yeah.
For season tickets or something like that, Dave?
Well, that's a tough one because, again, a cop lets give somebody a ride home, and then all of a sudden, they're out the next weekend. They're still driving drunk, and they kill themselves or they kill somebody else. So that one makes it tough. But she was. It's interesting to me that she got hit with these other charges when she was clearly cooperative with police. She was very nice. I'm sure she flirted with them. They just use them.
A lot of times they use them as a bargaining chip. If there's just one charge, there's really nothing to bargain. You can only have that charge. But if there's 4 charges, they'll say, well, we'll keep these 2 and we'll drop the other 2. It makes it feel as though you're getting a deal when in reality, it's kind of like buying a car, Dave.
By the way,
they're going to throw in the floor mats and a nice wax job, but in reality, they already hammered you for $3,000 more than what it's worth anyway.
Yes, that's true. The best part of the tape, I thought, was when she said, headlights?
Oh, yeah.
You don't have your headlights on?
It was pitch dark.
Headlights?
It was like around midnight or something like that, 1 in the morning.
Headlight? But I got to say, you can drive certain times of the day. You could drive without headlights and you don't even notice, and maybe you're not drunk.
Yeah, that's true. It's just an indicator.
It is an indicator. And you know what's more of an indicator?
What's that?
When you look at the cop, you go, headlights?
She sounded a little drunk to me.
She sounded tipsy. She did sound a little tipsy, but she sounded very sweet. So,
like I said, could have gone either way. Cops could have gave her a break, but they decided not to, which is fine.
It's a tough one to give a break on.
All right, this is right up your alley. This is Who Are You, Dave? Take a listen to this lady, because I guarantee you've worked for her before.
I understand.
Absolutely no damage.
I know that, and I explained that to her, but she still wants to come. She still wants to come, and she wants to make sure that's our policy. That's the way.
If I miss my airplane, you folks are in trouble.
Okay. She's on her way.
Hello. How are you?
I'm not well. I'm being held from going to the airport. If I miss my plane,
Okay.
you folks are in trouble.
I'm sorry. Who are you?
I'm the chancellor.
I'm sorry. Who are you?
I'm the chancellor.
I'm sorry. Who are you?
I'm the chancellor.
You played with that tape, right? She didn't say, I'm the chancellor.
It was so annoying, Dave, when I was editing the audio. I said, I got to repeat that 3 times, because not only did she say, I'm the chancellor, but she had 2 or 3 little cronies in the background like, you don't know? She's the chancellor of Rutgers University. Oh, my God, how could you be harassing her? I would have locked her up for any fucking reason I could have found.
Well, this is, what was the case? Who was the guy at Harvard?
Oh, the Harvard professor who got handcuffed when he was allegedly breaking into his own house.
The one who got belligerent because the cop was asking him,
Who are you?
Who are you?
Climbing through the window of your house.
You don't know who I am. And I'm thinking, that's such and again, Cornell West, I think. Was that Cornell West or the other one? There were 2 well-known academics that I confuse sometimes, but whichever one it was. Maybe I don't think it was Cornell West. I think it was the other one.
So the other well-known academic would be you, but go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, but it's just that sort of a thing where you're just like, I'm so important. I'm so important.
She's so important. Let's give her her name. Nancy Cantor, Chancellor of Rutgers University. And all it was, something, let me look at it from both perspectives. The cop sounded like she was about 12 years old.
Yeah.
And what it was a minor fender bender.
Yeah.
It was the college vehicle.
Yeah.
And a college cruiser, rear-ended. No damage, no nothing, probably going 2 miles an hour.
Wait, it was a college cruiser?
Yes.
And a college vehicle?
Yes. So the chancellor's in her own college car, and then you have the campus police.
And she hit her, who hit who?
It appears as though the chancellor's car, she wasn't driving, but that car just tapped. No damage, Dave. Nothing. Not even a dent in a bumper.
Okay.
And the cop was just a young cop, didn't have the nerve just to kind of wash her hands of it and say, yeah, go ahead, no problem, no big deal. Because you heard what she said, I have to wait for my supervisor. Dave, I've been to calls with cars have flipped over, totaled, and you just say, hey, you guys all set, exchange information, no one's injured, have a nice night, brother.
Well, that's the thing. If you've handled a lot of these, they're really, for the most part, unless
there's someone drunk, injured, doesn't have a license, has a warrant, they're very simple.
Yes. So they should be something you should take care of right like this. Now, I'll say this. I had a case years ago when I got rear-ended, and I didn't think it was a big deal. I said, I'm going to work. Have a good day. And then I was kind of knocked batty for the rest of the day. I think I had gotten whacked a little harder than I thought I did.
Whiplash.
Yeah, and it made me feel a little. So I understand the idea of staying for caution, but I also think here's a good example. Sometimes when you've got a lot of people screaming at each other, you're going to find this hard to believe. But when you have a lot of other voices that are just screaming, "I'm so important. Do you know who I am? I've got a ba 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 ba." It's counterproductive.
Absolutely. What do you think? How would you handle that fine lady?
I'm thinking of this from the perspective of the campus police officer who was hit. Probably was escorting this vehicle to the airport or something, or was just there. Obviously, she knew who was in the car. It was the chancellor. Probably knew the chancellor was a huge bitch, and when probably was giving her shit earlier in the day. And so when that car tapped, she's like, "I'm gonna ruin this woman's day." Gets out, looks at the car with no damage, and she's like, "We're gonna have to wait. And she's like, "I'm the chancellor. I need to get to the airport." And she's like, "I'm sorry, we have to wait. My supervisor. Oh my God, you're late. It's a shame, but the supervisor should be here very soon. This will get done, and you can get the next plane to wherever the fuck you need to go."
There you go. Sergeant Nathan, Rutgers University Police.
Yeah.
The rules are very important. She has to wait for her supervisor.
It really is a case where I think you've got it right on the money. A rules following, young, new campus police officer.
She's not old enough and experienced enough to abuse her power. She doesn't know she has that power yet.
Well, we don't know what her supervisor's like.
Oh,
it might be that her supervisor might just torture her over letting the chancellor go.
Yeah.
So yeah, you've got definitely a clash of egos there, but you also got, and again, you don't know how soon. Well, clearly the chancellor's wound up about this.
I will tell you this, from my experience.
Yes,
this chancellor is the poster child of the entitled person. Her attitude, voice, her just voice, it just pierces right through you. You want to pepper spray her, Dave. You want to lock her up and just toss her in the back of the cruiser and say, "I don't know what you did, but by the time I get to the station, I'll figure it out."
Well, I'll say this. I've met plenty of people in college leadership positions, and some of them are like this, but there are definitely some people in college leadership positions who you don't want to cross them because you'll wind up with just a hurricane.
I'm going to give you a little quick side note before we go to the next one.
All right.
My father, he claimed to have gone to Rutgers University, and he had a diploma from Rutgers University. But the inside scoop was back in the day, he was in the drum corps, Dave.
Yep.
And his buddy worked at Rutgers University and made him a fake degree. And he used to get teaching jobs all across the country. He had a degree in music theory. Never stepped a foot in college in his whole life. Rutgers University.
Wow.
This was back in the day when everything was done by paper and pencil and not computerized.
Well, listen, I've taken a look at this master's degree that you have hanging from the wall, and I think
it's my father's.
Kinko's. No, I think Kinko's is what I think. That's what I think.
All right, I just had to get that out there.
Yes.
All right, this one is called "I Am the Sheriff."
Can you tell which is the legit police vehicle in this video? Because it sure gave the experts pause.
Well, initially it looked to me exactly like a police car. It was a police car. It had the regular police car push bumpers. It had a whole light array on the back. It had police interceptor on the back, dial 911 on the side, stay back, canine cages on the side rear window. And I was like, no, that's not a police car. Something weird's going on.
It got weirder. He ran the plate. It didn't come back to an agency. So he activated his lights and pulled it over. The window so tinted it was impossible to see who was driving. The guy behind the wheel rolls down the window.
He looks at me and says, "Who are you?" And I said, "I'm the sheriff. Who are you?"
This is One of those, Dave, where this is kind of the opposite of what we're doing. Sometimes you think you have someone. They claim to be someone, and they're not who they are. I just kind of threw that in there kind of as a public service because that's more of a safety issue.
That's what this goes back to the episode that we did about cop wannabes and cop impersonators.
Absolutely.
And
you never know who they are.
This guy was not a cop?
He wasn't a cop. He wasn't arrested on scene on that video. He was arrested a day later on numerous charges, and he has about $50,000 cash bail.
How would you pull something? Okay, because he wasn't doing anything. He was just driving a vehicle that looked like a police car, but probably had...
Yeah, he didn't necessarily pull someone over and say he was a police officer, but he led people to believe that he was, but he didn't do any overt action. So what they probably did, there was some girl walking down the street he was probably going to scoop up.
So when that incident, the person who said, "I'm the sheriff, who are you?"
That's the sheriff actually pulling the guy over. It's like, who are you? I don't know you.
Yeah, and the other guy is asking him, "Who are you?"
Yeah, his name is Adrian Asante. He's got about 4 names, but we'll just go with Adrian.
And they never found out what his game was.
No, other than he had some charges. He had a criminal history. You know, the thing about this is there are instances in the past where people have portrayed themselves as a police officer, whether in uniform or in uniform in a cruiser. They've pulled people over, especially young girls at night. They've either kidnapped them, sexually assaulted them, and the list goes on. Worst case scenario, people have been killed under the premise that I'm a police officer, get in the cruiser.
Let me ask you this,
It's not common, although it happens.
If you're going to be this overt, driving a car like this, which is clearly going to get the attention of cops, is that a good idea?
Not a good idea, but a lot of these people are like delusional and they're in their own little world, and they probably think that most cops will see that and just assume it's a cruiser. But the sheriff from that county, Oakland County, he probably knows, hey, I got 100 cruises. He's on his game. He knows every cruiser he has out there. He's like, this ain't one of my cruises.
Let me ask about this, because this is a similar situation. Nathan.
Yes.
When you were working as a male stripper for a while,
yes,
and you had your cop uniform on, the tore away at the right time. When you would go out afterwards, did you ever run into any issues?
Like while wearing the uniform?
Yes.
No, but I'd use it to, just get shit that I wanted and just to terrorize people that I wanted.
Like free food and stuff like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say, I'm a cop, give me shit. Or I'd see someone, I'd say, I'm a cop, you're under arrest. But then, they try to attack you, and then all the clothes rip off, and all you're left with is your banana hammock.
Ugh. Wait, so this time that you stole the Snickers bar and the cop went off on you?
Yeah.
Were you in uniform?
Sadly, no.
Would have avoided all that.
I was in the second uniform, the banana hammock.
All right, that's a gross image. Moving on.
Yeah, we'll move on to the other one. But this kind of brings me back to anyone who's watched Patty Mayo, Southland Bounty Hunters. He started out just like that, driving around the city that I work in and I live in right now. It's about 30 yards down the street. He grew up, and he used to drive around in the cruiser, and we used to pull him over all the time. But guess what he's doing right now, Dave?
What's
Over
that?
9 million followers on YouTube. Southland Bounty Hunters. We all thought he was a nitwit, but he's laughing at us right now, ain't he?
I think he is specifically laughing at you.
Probably.
I'm not sure. Nathan, what's your call on that one?
You see, I hear the term bounty hunter, and I think something cool. I think like old Clint Eastwood Western bounty hunter types. I think Star Wars, like Boba Fett, Han Solo.
Boba Fett.
Those cool guys when I hear bounty hunters, and then you see a real life bounty hunter, and it's just some fucking out of shape moron with a big beard and a truck saying, we're looking for this guy. He's off on his bail. We're going to go find him. I got my pepper spray. I got my bigger
Is that how he talks?
It's how most of them, I imagine, talk. We're going to go find him. He's been hold on here for about a couple of days. We're going to go find him. We're going to mess him up.
All right, Dave, this is the last one right here. I'm going to ask you this first, Dave. How many times have you heard this statement? I'm not as stupid as you think I am.
Ooh.
This is a good one, Dave.
How many times have I heard it, or how many times have I said it?
How many times have you said it?
I've probably not said it all that often, because time after time, I think usually what I say is listen, you might have your opinion, but for your information, I do very well on standardized tests.
All right, here we go.
Last May, a police corporal in the Fayette County town of Tyrone walked up to a pickup truck and heard this.
I pay my bills.
Okay.
I'm state senator. I'm not stupid.
Okay. He'd been pulled over by another officer for having an expired tag.
Our policy, over 30 days of expiration, we have to tow the vehicle.
You serious with me?
Yes, sir.
I'll call it. I won't call Eric Dow, but I'll call the rest of them. But I pay my bills. This will not go over well.
I can tell you can talk to everybody in the department. The car's going to be impounded.
Harbin was surprised that the law allows police to impound a vehicle with an expired tag. After a few minutes and a few phone calls, Harbin adjusted his focus.
Because I'm going to take this and I'm going to the state and we're going to change the law.
In January, Senator Harbin introduced a bill that would allow motorists to drive away from expired tag violations. The measure passed the Senate last week, though Harbin kept quiet about the bill's personal origin.
Did this happen to you?
Laughing like it never happened to him. And you know something? Nathan had it right.
Like he didn't want to answer the question, which is fine.
When Nathan was talking about that bounty hunter, I couldn't understand what the hell Nathan was saying. But this senator down in Georgia and the sheriff, I didn't know what the hell they were saying.
That is a thick Southern accent.
Absolutely.
Those two have.
And that's Marty Harbin, senator down in Atlanta, Fayette County, town of Tyrone. He gets pulled over by a cop.
He wants to talk to everybody. He wants to talk to everybody.
Oh, everybody. He's going to talk to the mayor, the sheriff, everybody, the priest. I don't know. Who else can you talk to?
Yeah, but he knows. But he thought, now, here's a question. Do you think he actually knew the law or thought he knew the law?
No,
a politician knowing the law. Dave, what is this? The Twilight Zone?
I'm sorry. Let me put it another way. Do you think he actually thought he knew?
No, I don't. There's so many laws out there, Dave. There's so many motor vehicle type laws. One, you can tow a car. One, you can arrest someone. Actually, next week we're going to go over a podcast. We have I'm springing it on you now, Dave.
Oh, great.
We're going to go over some laws that must be taken off the books. And that was probably one of them.
All right.
He didn't necessarily have to tow his car.
I got a few I want to put on the books.
You do?
I got a few I want to put on the books.
Yeah, that was a tough one. Based on the fact that the politician right off the bat was entitled, me as a cop, I probably would have amped it up. As he's going up, with throwing around names, I'm going to become less cooperative toward him.
I got to tell you this: that I thought was it a corporal?
Yeah, Corporal Klink.
I thought he was extremely patient.
Yeah, he was fine.
He was extremely patient. He handled the guy very well. He kept it. I'd say this: I don't know if the guy was. I'm sure there've been politicians who've been worse than this guy.
Yeah, he wasn't that bad.
But the corporal he did a nice job. And I've known two that I can think of off the top of my head. People who had it out for the police chief, got themselves elected, and made life miserable for the police chief in
absolutely.
towns. In towns around here.
It's like small towns that are not unionized. Police departments are not unionized.
Well, I don't know if that was the key to it or not.
Absolutely,
that's
the key.
But they were both towns, not cities.
Yep.
And in both cases, they just made the chief's life miserable.
You want to know, other than the murderers, you got to watch out for them. Cops have to watch out for three types of people.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Murderers.
Yep.
Crazy girls with daddy issues. And politicians. Because the girls with the daddy issues and the politicians can ruin your career.
Because the girls with the daddy issues will do what?
I got to get pregnant, say you got them pregnant, and they're going to come up with some other crazy story.
They have a thing called the DNA test.
Oh, yeah, DNA test.
No, it's really not that they would say you got them pregnant.
You got to watch out for them. And the politicians, especially in a town that doesn't have a unionized police force, the politicians hire the cops. And many times in those towns, every 2 or 3 years, cops are up to be rehired. And if you piss off a politician, they may vote to not rehire you. You lose your job. If you're the chief of the police department, they may vote not to rehire you or to restrict your powers. Now it makes it very difficult to do policing in that community.
Right. Right.
God forbid you arrest a politician's son or daughter. You're all done, brother, in those small towns like that.
Yeah.
Whether it's down south, northeast, anywhere that police departments aren't unionized, cops are at the whim of the politicians.
Ask me how many times people knew my boss and were going to talk to my boss when I was a reporter.
How many times, Dave?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I lost count. I lost count. After a while, it's like I had somebody once say, I'm not going to talk to you. If you don't get this right, I'm not going to talk to you. And I've been doing it too long. And I laughed. I said, of course you're not going to talk to me if this goes wrong. You shouldn't talk to me. If I get the facts wrong, you shouldn't talk to me anymore because I'm incompetent. I said, of course you shouldn't talk to me, but there's no reason for you to tell me that because I already know it.
Absolutely.
And then we went on, and because that was the one time out of 10 that I got my facts right.
I'd talk to you, Dave, if I had some information to give. I think
you might be a source that would give misinformation.
I probably would.
Thoughts on this, Nathan? Oh,
I'm just stuck on he didn't like the law, and so he decided to change it. I don't think that should be allowed. Call me crazy. I don't think that's that's okay.
I think they should be okay. If let me put it this way.
The law says I can't fuck my cousin, so I changed the law so
you know what?
I can marry my cousin and we can have beautiful webbed feet mutant children.
Let me tell you this: as somebody who recently got busted in New Hampshire for I won't call it.
Don't admit to it, Dave. Don't admit to it.
Never
It's
mind.
still pending.
I'm not.
Keep going.
All right, it's still pending, so I won't say it. But for something that's a civil penalty, like plates or not having your car inspected, the idea that he should be able to drive away if he's sober and he just made a mistake. We live in busy times, so I don't think that's a bad law to change. And his personal experience with it gives him a sense of how unfair it is.
Let me just be the devil's advocate as we wrap it, Dave.
Sure.
If you have a vehicle that's unregistered, it's more likely than not uninsured.
Yep.
So if that vehicle hits you, Dave, and totals your car, God forbid the vehicle hits you and kills you, then at least monetarily, you're not going to have any recourse against that driver because there's no insurance, no registration. And if they hit your car, you're screwed. If they kill you, your family, although they're going to be very upset, will be a lot happier if they could get $1 million off the nitwit that hit you, Dave.
Right.
There you go.
Well, there's two sides to that. But again, if you see, yeah, you're right. That's a good point. All right. I'm sure they worked it out in the legislation.
Absolutely.
I'm sure they took care of it in the
down south,
legislation.
they're great down there. Really smart as a whip down there, Dave.
All right. With that, let's see. Today you're picking on Southerners. You didn't like Southerners today. Nathan, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
Dale, nice to see you as always.
Glad to be seen.
Dale, I'm Dave. Inside the Line, real stories by real cops. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for listening.